What do you think needs to happen for gender relations to improve?
Oh my goodness, man. How about you answer that first?
Okay. So, well, I
I'm
think
like, it's 2019. There are no genders anymore. No. But
yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, look at my face compared to hers.
yeah.
I don't think that's true. but you do have that water there, just in case, if you're getting.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm just reminding you.
Yeah. Good. I drink a lot of water before.
All right. Cool. You came prepared.
I drink so much water. It is like one of my really good qualities. I think.
Yeah.
Everyone drink
another
water.
great female quality.
Yes.
They're really hydrated. But okay, so what I think is probably the number one thing is fathers and mothers need to actually parent their children. Mm-hmm. I was lucky enough to have parents who taught me things and taught me how to treat girls well and taught me what to look for in a girl and that sort of thing. I'm lucky. A lot of dudes, just men, boys and girls, lots of them never had parents like that. Mm-hmm. Their parents were just their buddies. They didn't teach them anything. They just existed next to them. Mm-hmm. They didn't discipline them. They didn't teach them anything. They just kind of let them raise themselves. Mm-hmm. So the first thing is fathers need to teach their boys how to be a man, mm-hmm. How to be a gentleman, and to be strong when they need to be strong, to be vulnerable when they need to be vulnerable, and all of that stuff. And mothers need to teach their daughters what to look for in a man. What are the good qualities? They also need to, mothers need to teach their daughters, how to treat a man.
Mm-hmm. No, my mother always told me growing up, she's like, Emily, you're not going to rely on a man. Mm-hmm. You two are going to rely on each other.
Yeah, exactly. And, also fathers need, mothers need to, parent their sons, and fathers need to parent their daughters because, who's the first person that loves you when you're a little girl? It's your dad. Mm-hmm. And so your dad needs to be there. He needs to show you what it's like to actually be loved by a man, mm-hmm. To experience what masculine love actually is. And same thing goes for dudes and their moms, and so, I think the big thing starts in the home for sure. Mm-hmm. And then also there needs to stop being this, the thing that was so perplexing to me about the initial Me Too thing mm-hmm. was for years, the feminist movement, particularly like just in the news media and also like among big Hollywood actresses, they were basically saying that men don't have any purpose. We don't need them. They're stupid. They're fat. They're lazy. We don't need a man to hold the door open for us. And obviously you don't need this, that one, that annoys me so much. It's like, you guys do realize that when we open the door, we're not saying that you can't do it yourself. It's like a gesture of respect. We're like, we're going to let you go through this door first. Yeah. Like that's the whole idea. Mm-hmm. It's,
I saw a tweet one time and it was like, guys only open the doors for girls so they can check out their butts. And I'm like, yeah, that's why. That's the only reason why.
I hold doors open for men too.
Yeah.
But no, it's like a gesture of respect. But mm-hmm. But no, for years, like the mainstream feminist movement was essentially saying men are useless. We don't need them for anything. We don't need to be protected by a man. We don't need anything like that. And then when
I like to be protected. Mm-hmm. Let the record show. I'm like, it's okay.
Yeah. And then when the Me Too movement happened, what was so hilarious is all of these women asked, "Men, where were you? Why weren't you stopping this?" It's like, well, what do you want? Do you want us to protect you, or do you want us to not? Okay, because we weren't, because you told us not to. Mm-hmm. And this is what happens when you don't. When good guys don't protect women, bad guys abuse women. And so there's got to be the big cultural movers and shakers, the news media and the movie makers. They've got to start representing proper ways of treating people, And they need to like stop deifying like sex as the number one thing of all relationships. Like that's not, it's not healthy for that to be your whole purpose. It's just not. Nobody. I mean, that's if you're. It's just like if looks are your whole purpose for dating somebody. It's not. It's there's nothing. I mean, looks are great if there's actual relationship there.
There's so many components to like what makes a relationship good and like what makes a relationship different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like I'm gonna cherish all of the relationships I've ever had just because that's who I am as a person. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna forget them. That doesn't mean I still like want to be with them. Like it's just, it's healthy to like move on and change and grow as you go.
Yeah, and and it's like the big like I said, they need to start actually presenting. If you want men to improve, you got to show them an example. It's like because that's what we see. Like when boys don't have when they don't have a father in the home, that's another thing. When there's when you have a kid with a girl, whether you're married to her or not, you can't just leave. I mean, you may not have to marry her, but you need to help parent the kid. And that's another big thing that has to happen, because otherwise that little boy, if it's a boy, is going to look for a male role model somewhere. And if there's no dad to teach him how to do it, he's going to look at some thug and be like, hey, that guy's a strong man. He gets what he wants. I'm going to follow that guy. And a lot of people think that's part of the reason why like these gangs form in like inner cities and that sort of thing. But and then also, I mean, there just needs to be mutual respect between the two genders. There needs to be an acknowledgement that both are necessary. There needs to be a balance, and also I think pornography has probably been the most detrimental force to gender relations, honestly. Now, I've seen pornography before, as has almost every man that you'll ever meet. I haven't watched it since last year. That was my you asked me once what my one New Year's resolution was. It was in 2019, make 2018 the last time you ever see that. Because it's really part of the reason why I decided to quit. I always knew it was wrong. I mean, it's obviously wrong. It's dehumanizing. Yeah. I mean, the weird thing where people act like it's empowering to these women. Maybe those women feel empowered, but I'll tell you, when a dude is watching pornography, he's not empowering them. He doesn't even care what their name is. I mean, he doesn't. It's not empowering. It's dehumanizing.
That's a good point.
And I think, and it's just, and I wrote a research paper for a class last year, an online class. All I did in a library database, I typed in pornography and brain, and every single peer-reviewed academic journal came back with, this causes erectile dysfunction, because once you have this heightened view of what sex is, real sex, normal sex, doesn't get you up anymore, because as it turns out, women don't want to be thrashed, and it's also, it causes, if you look at all the rapists that are in jail, every single one of them watched a lot of pornography. This is something that Ted Bundy, the famous serial killer, talked about the day before he died. He said one of the biggest reasons why he did what he did was, he wasn't always a sociopathic, psychopathic killer. He started out watching softcore pornography, but then that didn't do it for him. And then he watched something that was a little bit more hardcore, and then so on and so forth, until the only thing that could get him aroused was violence towards women. And then that couldn't even do it, and so he started doing it in real life. And because
it's just sad.
Well, yeah, it behaves, and it really behaves like a drug, especially nowadays, because you got the internet that's just it gives you, I mean, it's instant access, and there's all this variety. So it really is like a drug. There's always another strain. There's always some other batch you can get that's even stronger. And I think pornography has, ever since it became like a big, thing back when Hugh Hefner made it a popular thing, I think it has led to women being viewed by men as sexual objects versus people. I mean, it's the most anti-feminist thing in the world, and it dumbfounds me whenever I see all these feminist leaders acting like it's an empowering thing. I'm like, you guys do realize that all pornography is about is male domination of women. I mean, that's all it is. It's all about exploitation. I mean, trust me, like when dudes watch pornography, they're not thinking, oh, this woman's so brave. She's so beautiful. I love her. They're not thinking that. They're acting on on their animal instincts. And I just think that has probably done the most damage to, particularly men's view of women and the way they treat women, because it presents a view of, the big lie is in pornography is it presents women as being people who want this stuff to happen to them. Like every single pornography video I ever watched, it was all, even if it like looked like perhaps it like they would be very uncomfortable. I mean, those women were getting paid to act like they were having a great time, and it presents this completely unrealistic view of what women are and what women want. And yeah, I just think that, I mean, the big cultural movers and shakers have got to come out against that. We got to get rid of that, because I think it's really, really bad. And it's just like, it's just not good. And it also,
it's very easy to find too.
Yeah, like, it's extremely easy to find.
I remember being like a 10-year-old girl, and I was trying to go to Barbie.com, and I like didn't capitalize the B or something, and I was like on a porn site, and I was like, I tried to hit Barbie.com. Like, it's sad, it's very like readily available, like,
yeah,
all kinds too.
Well, yeah, and it's like some dudes who watch it, they're like, oh, it's not like cheating or anything, and it's not exactly the same thing as going out and sleeping with another girl, but it's in the same category. I mean, think about it. I use this analogy sometimes. If you're walking down the street, I say this to you. I've said this to some of my friends. Like, so say you're walking down the street with your girlfriend, and a super beautiful girl walks by, and you say, "I would love to have sex with that ass."
Yeah.
Say you say that, and I'm like, do you think that the woman has every right to slap the man in the face and say, "Hey, that was horrible"?
Yeah.
And they're all like, "Well, yeah, that's terrible." I'm like, okay. So you think that's horrible? Then why are you okay with a dude going home by himself, pulling down his pants, and actively seeking out women getting, I don't want to say the F word, but I'm just going to say it, getting fucked in the asshole?
Yeah.
How is that? I mean, both of them are bad, but clearly one of them is worse. Like, one of them is like, you sought it out. And it's like, oh, but I don't actually want to. But it's like, how do you not? I mean, you're going and looking. You would, in an ideal world, you would probably be like, yeah, if you could get away with it, you'd be like totally up for it. And it's not. It's just, it's so the opposite of what's good, I think. And I think it breeds like a culture of like treating sex as something that does not mean anything at all, even though we know that it is an extremely powerful thing.
Sex is literally love. Like, that's what it's for. Like, it's for whenever you're with someone, you're like, I love you, I want to show it to you. Like, this is what we do. Like, it's not for anything else. Yeah,
it's not supposed to be, but most of the time it's not at all. I mean, it's like it's supposed to be an expression of love and of like, hey, I love you, and this is, but pornography and the way a lot of dudes perceive sex, like a lot of dudes, I didn't even think this was real until I joined sports teams in high school, but no, the whole idea of locker room talk, it's real. Like, I mean,
tell me about locker room talk.
I mean, I've never heard anyone say what Trump said, but I mean, I met this guy who was bragging to me and this other guy. He's like, dude, so like, I got this girl on Tinder this weekend. It was like 1 a.m. I got a taxi to her house. Her parents were there, but like, we did it, and I came in her 3 times, and I didn't even have a condom.
Ew.
And he thought that he was impressing us, and I said, you didn't even have a. I was like, do you think this makes you cool?
Yeah.
And I mean, I kind of mocked him. I was like, you realize you could have gotten that girl pregnant, especially if you don't even have a condom. It's like, and I was like, no, this is not cool, man. It's just stupid. It's just like
very stupid,
really stupid. And he didn't care about who that girl was. Clearly, he didn't. I mean, it was no. You know, I bet he doesn't even remember whoever that girl's name was at this point. But I remember I was just like, goodness, that's not the way to view it. And I think personal self-control over, like, people have got to not express their sex drives at every opportunity. There's got to be discretion. And I mean, I've told you before. I mean, I also told them. I made a video on why I think it's a good idea to wait until you're married to have sex, but I also put in there, I don't look down on people that don't wait. I do look down on the people that just are like, yeah, dude, so I had sex with 3 women this weekend. Yeah, it was awesome. And you ask them their names, like, oh, I don't pay attention to that.
Yeah,
I do have a problem with those people.
That hurts.
But no, like, I'm not going to make the whole argument that I made there, but one of the things I forgot to talk about is just having self-control over your sex drive. Like, one of the things I'm going to claim this line because I think it's original. I think it would be really good if we fostered a culture where men, well, this analogy only works for men, but we can come up with another one for women if we want to. But I think it would be great if we fostered a culture where men thought with the heads that rested on their shoulders rather than the heads that rest at the end of their penises.
Yeah.
And it's like, like I have my reasons. I've laid them out in that video, and I've talked to you about them some. But it's just like the number one thing that we cannot continue with this culture where it's like the end all be all of everything. We cannot continue with this culture where on one hand we say it's the greatest, most powerful thing in the world, and then on the other hand say it's meaningless, do it with everyone. We can't continue with that because it makes no sense, and it's causing a whole lot of problems. Because like every girl I've met, not every single girl, but most girls that I've met, they all have some story about some guy that all they wanted was sex. And I've met guys that have been in similar situations. That's just, I mean, and I think I told you this once, like whenever people, like if your reason for dating someone is just to have sex with them and you're like, hey, either you have sex with me or it's over, then you're a creep.
Yeah,
it's like
sad.
You're basically saying get naked or I'm out, and that's just, it's messed up. But yeah, we need for gender relations to get better, we need everything I just said. Basically, do you have anything you want to say?
I think you pretty much did a good job. I think you covered it, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I'm just like it stinks that it's like that, but it definitely is. But
yeah.
And people are like, we need to make a change. I'm like, but how?
Yeah. Well, yeah, and you gotta. When people say we need to make a change, they always talk about like, oh, we need to make certain new laws and all this sort of stuff. I'm like, well, people are already breaking the laws whenever they do these heinous crimes. I'm like, we need to change the culture, like the social fabric. Women need to stop saying that men are, useless, and men need to stop acting as if women are inferior. We both need to acknowledge each other's strengths and their weaknesses. We didn't even get into, you know, well, I mean, we mostly just talked about strengths between men and women.
We need to have another podcast.
Yeah. But we gotta change the culture to where, people they treat each other well. It seems so stupid to say, but people need to start valuing each other's strengths and weaknesses, acknowledging that they're there. As if once you acknowledge them, then you can work to a resolution, a solution.